So good morning, everyone. Happy Saturday morning to you. Hope you guys had a good, fun evening, a good old-fashioned family evening last night with your family. So this morning, I'm going to go over a couple of things that just kind of perspective and kind of the tone from the week, and then we'll get right into the actual thoughts about, well, how do you cut costs and still maintain revenue? Okay. Just checking the chat box because somebody was chatting. Okay, so the first thing I want to talk about is your tone this week, your strengths, your availability, and the fact that your perspective matters. So, and Ashley, you may have to help me here. Do you know how I forward the slides here?
Just click on the
There
screen.
we go. There we go. Look at that.
Got it? Okay.
Okay. So just remember, John Maxwell says this: everything is worthwhile. Everything worthwhile is uphill. The adversity just makes the hill steeper. So with the coronavirus, we just found adversity that definitely makes the hill steeper. And he said sometimes we have uphill goals and dreams, but we have downhill habits. And right now, we can't have downhill habits. We have to, with the hill being steeper than it's ever been, we have to show up and suit up like we've never done before. And so he, the other thing that John Maxwell says is there's always an answer. And I think sometimes we forget that because the greatest gap between successful people and unsuccessful people is actually their thinking, their perspective. Do you have a perspective that can we do this? Or do you have a perspective of how can we do this? Because that difference with adding that one word makes all the difference in the world. So successful people always believe that there is an answer. And if there's an answer, then you can overcome anything. And it makes you a victor rather than a victim. So the greatest gap right now for most of us is going to be our thinking gap. We might be at the same place, meaning we're in another crisis or we're in another adversity. But our thinking can't be the same, because the same thinking that got you through the last one is not going to get you through this one, because while there are some similarities in any sort of shift, there's also some differences. So I would also just recommend that you feed your faith and starve your fear. I love that one, because I think if you're always thinking about others and you're getting outward rather than inward, that is the best way. Getting into activities and helping people is the best way to starve your fear. And I would also say, take a look at yourself, because during any adversity, you're going to discover who you actually are. And that's kind of an exciting thing, because I don't know, put it in the chat box. Is there any either situation that came up this week or person that you interacted with that that some people you saw were stepping up more than they've ever stepped up before, and some people were stepping back? So just put something in the chat box if you had an experience like that, or come off of mute and tell me what it was. Anyone have an adverse, that type of experience so far this week? No one?
I had a person in my sphere. His mother is elderly and she's had some health issues. And he was telling me how he had to see her, but he hadn't seen her in a couple weeks, but he could only see her through the window. And all this, he's the kind of guy who's like, okay, we'll get through this. But when at that moment, he said he just lost it because he couldn't figure out how he was going to get through it.
Mm. Yeah. And so I think what you feed your mind with on a daily basis is super important, and how you start your day. Because your mindset is, everyone has their own, has the chance to have a positive perspective. And I see that Kevin Gardy said people are looking for positive. If we come from that mindset, we can better guide our conversations. And that's absolutely true, because there is an answer. There's always an answer. But we just have to make sure that we take a positive stance, because good and bad's going to come. But are we the person that can make it better? Are we the person that can make it better? Motion emotions influence emotion. Now think about that. When you're in activity, when you're taking action, anytime I start to feel any fear, it's usually because I'm still, I'm quiet, and I'm not, I'm allowing those negative thoughts to come in. It is as soon as you start taking action, I don't know about you guys, but I immediately in concentrating on something else. I'm not denying the reality of the shift that we're in, the coronavirus, the deadly unseen virus. That I get it. So I'm not denying reality, but I am choosing how I frame the reality so that I can actually help people, because our families need help, our neighbors need help, our communities need help, and our clients need help. And we are the people that can deliver that. The people that choose motion to influence their emotions are the people that are going to recover the fastest during a crisis. You can recover super fast, and it determines on how long you get yourself into a positive position. And Jeff Jacobs wrote, our Realty Town team based here in Frisco, Texas, has been focusing on service before opportunity. With faith, the opportunities will follow. Help people. Absolutely true. Here's another thing that I know absolutely to be true. In every shift, there are gifts. There's unintended positive consequences. There are gifts. And the only way you find them is you've got to be smack dab in the middle of it. You cannot be sitting on the sidelines. Sitting on the sidelines, waiting, hoping is not a way to get out of this. It's, hoping isn't something that's going to get you where you want to go. So being positive, helping people is absolutely how you're going to get them where they want to go. So remember that your motion influences your emotion. So I hope you guys get that. I hope you write that down. I take a snapshot. I take a picture of this slide, because these things are the types of things that will get you into a positive perspective. And recovery during a crisis is literally determined by how long it takes you to get into positive action. Negative emotions it will take you a lot longer to recover if you're negative. Remember this too, a crisis never leaves us the same. We always think, oh, we can't wait till we get back to normal. And normal has changed. Now we have a new normal. And while we may pick up some of the things of the past, when this is over, we will not be the same. And service before opportunity is absolutely true. And I also think our opportunities to connect with people at a much deeper level is a gift that this shift is giving us. So the next one, today matters. If today matters, then let's make today count. Let's make today count. None of us can control tomorrow. Everybody wants to know, when is this going to end? No one can tell you that, because no one actually knows. And there's nothing I can do about yesterday. It's over. It's gone. Today counts. What I do today matters, and I cannot control tomorrow. So the difference is will I get up today and prepare? Preparation every day is what's going to get us through this. You've got to be prepared. You've got to take care of today, because remember, you're either preparing or repairing. So do you want to prepare and not have to go backwards? So the number one thing you can do for today, in order to control today as best you can, is to prepare. That has a compounding effect. Interestingly enough, repairing does too. Repairing, you're going backwards. Preparing, you're going forwards. Remember this also. Sometimes the best decision for today is better than a worse decision. What do I mean by that? Here's what I mean. During times of adversity, there may not be a great decision to be had. The best decision just may be a bad one, but it's better than a worse decision. So sometimes you're choosing between bad decisions. Which one is better than the worst? So I think we have to make peace with that. I was on the phone with David Morse yesterday, and we were discussing several different aspects of what is happening right now. And we have to keep competing interests in mind. We have the owner's interest in mind. We have the agents who are trying to earn a living for their family, all of you on this call, your interest in mind. And we also have the interest and responsibility to our team members, the team members in our market center, the team members on our team members maybe just be our family. So you have competing interests all the time. And as a leader right now, the difference between the leaders that are going to lead us through this and the ones that are going to stay on the sidelines is that right there. Sometimes you have to make the best decision is a bad decision. Make peace with it and get on with it. Also, this one I do love, and many of you, I'm sure, maybe you'd like to get in the chat box or come off of mute and tell me where you found this week, and that is that adversity, us going through this together, makes you relatable like never before. And that's going to bring connection. And yes, Aaron, where there is no action is an action. You're absolutely right. Just like lack of a decision is a decision. So adversity makes us relatable. Right now, everyone, sometimes we go through adversity and we think no one can understand because they haven't been where I am. We're all in this. Everyone understands. And what I've heard from many of you this week is that you've communicated with people. People are answering the phone, and instead of a 3 to 5 minute conversation, it's a 15 to 20 minute conversation, and true connectivity is happening. That is a gift of this shift. That is a gift. Always look for the big picture. When you have a small picture, it's all about you. It's all about your problems. It's all about me. That's very inward. When you have a big picture, it's always going to be about others. And that's really the difference. Jeff Jacobs says, the phone call has made a comeback. So true. We're going to get to that when we get to cost cutting, because I think that's one of those things that's going to come out of this shift as a new norm, because we're going to make connections that we haven't made in a long time. And it's going to be super easy then to follow up with these people that you truly connected with. If you have ever connected with someone during adversity, then you know exactly what I mean. There's a connection there a bond that can't be broken. The other night we were just doing I joined a Team Integrity's happy hour, and there was connections being made that to me that is a gift of the shift. So know that those connections are real. I remember a university I was in before, and I remember Jennifer Toomer meeting me and my family at the Anchorage airport at 2:00 in the morning. It was the connectivity and the bond that was made during that time. You never forget, and you have that bond forever. The connections you make during this shift will last a lifetime, and that they're so important. Just remember that immature people see just their problems. Your perspective is only going to change when you see the big picture and you get your eyes off yourself. And now cost cutting. That's what this call is about today. And we're going to talk, I'm going to give you 3 questions to be asking. And there was a call here earlier this week or maybe a week ago. And it was Mike Bastian who did it. And I asked to borrow some of his slides because I thought they were excellent. The 3 questions came from him, and I'm going to show those to you. So cost cutting now. Cutting expenses matter, and cutting the right expenses matter. And I'm going to walk you through how do you make those decisions. And then more than anything, communication matters. Sometimes this is a scary time. And there's a book that John Maxwell said that's out. It's by Dan Sullivan. And it says, Scary Times, the Scary Times Success Manual. So sometimes if you need something to pump you up, that might be a good book. John recommended it. Just remember, everybody, we're in uncharted territory. Have grace for people. And no one's going to be perfect. Everyone's doing the very best that they can. So we've got to be gritty and do what needs to be done. Get into action. Don't stay on the sidelines you need to think about others, see the big picture, and realize that there's no perfect decisions. There's just better decisions. And the better decisions come by collaborating with others who have gone through adversity before. So if you're going to follow someone through this shift, follow someone who has been here before. Don't go follow someone that thinks that they know what to do, but they've never been in a shift. They've never gone through major adversity. Each adversity is always different, and yet there's always similar characteristics. So just know that also think about this on a daily basis. Today matters. Decisions matter. We're making decisions and pivots all the time, and they've got to be considered, well, considering the health of your families, your teams, your team members, your businesses. Guys, you know what? I've had many flops and failures and fumbles in this life. I am far from perfect, but I wouldn't give those things up for anything, because the lessons that I have learned through adversity has given me the character, not perfection, but the character needed for such a time as this. So I'm going to ask you today to trust me, to trust the questions that you need to be asking you. If an OP or a team leader's on this call, I'm going to also talk about expenses for you. If you're a solo agent, I'm going to help you with what decisions do you need to be making on your family budget as well as your business budget. I'm going to ask you guys to hold steady, be strong, and let this adversity be a gift for you right now through this shift. Because all of us are developing our character. That never stops. And through this, it's going to make us better. And we're going to make it, and we're going to be okay. And for such a time as this, we're leading together. And remember that this too shall pass. So while Gary says we're in totally uncharted territories, and the great thing is that we're all going through this together, and we're going to make it together. So let's jump into some cost cutting strategies and look at some of the slides from Mike Bastian. Okay, so you know, if any of you have ever been in an emergency room, or if you've ever had to give first aid to somebody, there's kind of some tried and true things. So here are the 4 life-saving steps that we're going to talk about today. Number 1, you've got to stop the bleeding. Number 2, start the breathing. Number 3, protect the wound. And number 4, treat for shock. So what do I mean by that? So stopping the bleeding. Stopping the bleeding is cost cutting. I've seen a lot of people doing cost slashing without asking some really important questions around those costs. So we're going to talk about those 3 questions and we're, think about how can we shift our thoughts to ask ourselves those questions about costs, and then also how do we rev up our revenue. So starting the breathing is revving up our revenue, and then protecting the wounds. And these really, protecting the wounds, starting your breathing and protecting the wounds really comes from shifts. So stopping the bleeding is shift 1, 2, and 3. Start the breathing is shift 4, 5, and 6. And so we want to make sure that we're thinking about all of these things. So stop the bleeding. That means we're going to hold expenses accountable. And so what do I mean by that? We're going to ask the questions around those costs. And we're going to ask ourselves specifically, how specifically does this cost bring me a return on investment? And then we're going to ask the question, do I absolutely need to have this in my business? We're going to talk, what does that mean? And number 3, can you do this and have it done in a different way and bring the cost to 0? And there are some ways to do that. So we're going to add, and I'm going to go through some examples, and we can go back and forth on what those things might be. So right now, all of us have some revenue coming in. And when we think about stopping the bleeding and holding our expenses accountable, we've done a lot of cost examination this past week, and you have to think about what revenue do I have coming in, and then what you're going to do is choose to split that revenue and choose what expenses you're going to allocate that revenue to, knowing the market of the moment, the message of the moment, who are the buyers, who are the sellers, where are they coming from? Because as Gary says, there's always buyers and sellers during any market. We just have to find them. And we're going to talk about that too. And then we've got to prioritize those expenses based on return on investment. So I don't want you to think about expenses as bills. I want you to think of it as splitting revenue across expenses that are prioritized according to return on investment. And that really comes from shift tactics 1, 2, and 3. So think about, how do you spend your money to move your business forward? So that's what I really think about. How are you going to spend your money so that your business survives? Gary said, hey, you know what, right now, don't worry about thriving. Let's just survive this coronavirus, because if we do and we do things right, there is he calls it the golf swing, you know, the right there where you hit the ball. You know, we're still up here. We've got to survive this so we can hit that golf ball. And then we're going to crush it and thrive. So what we're talking about today is, what are the things do we need to do to really survive the market so that we can thrive when we're through this pandemic. So let's look at keeping expenses low and revenues high. So the 3 questions, you might want to take a snapshot of this screen so that you can ask yourself these questions for your personal expenses and also for your business expenses. So for your business expenses, you would say, how specifically does this bring me a return on investment? Do I absolutely need to have this in my business? And can I do this myself or have it done differently such that I can bring the cost to 0? So we're gonna look, I want you to be prepared to look at every single line on it. Now I'm gonna show you something real quick, off camera for a second. I want you to see all of this. And I don't know if you can see how thick it is. The first group's probably 2 inches, then a 1/2 inch, and then maybe 1/4 inch. Those are all the line items, line by line by line, that we are going through this week. Every single line. Why is that important? Because every expense matters. Because you're gonna find your profit in the pennies. So if you can get something reduced to 0, awesome. But if you can just get it reduced, that's where your profit's gonna come from, so you can protect your people. So these are the questions that I want you to think about asking. And again, don't think of them as bills, but think of them how you're going to share your revenue across the expenses that you choose to continue and that you've prioritized in such a way that you're serving, you know, the expenses are serving you with the return on investment versus you serving the expenses. So who can, let's think about an expense right now that a solo agent or an agent with maybe 1 team member might have now that they might want to consider whether or not they want to continue that expense. Anybody put in the chat box, give me an expense. Okay, great, somebody's got something in there. Postcards. Kevin, great question. So let me ask you guys this question. If someone were to ask me, should I cut postcards? My first question to them would be this: what is the lead gen lever that you're using in your business right now? So, for instance, if your 100% of your business was coming because you do geo farms, because you're farming a geographic area, and postcards is your major lever for that, and super majority of your business comes from it, then I would say, that may not be the first thing that you want to cut. So you have to think about, where is your business coming from? So at our hub in Wasilla, Alaska, 67 to 73% of all of our business in a given year comes from sphere of influence, past clients, and referrals. So if in Wasilla, if I was spending money on postcards, would that be a good idea that I might consider cutting that? Would that be a yes or yes? Because if the super majority of my business is not coming from that, then I know what kind of business we get from postcards. It's 8 to 10%. Well, 8 to 10% is certainly a good percentage, but do you guys think, tell me in the chat box, do you think people are paying attention to mailers right now? Archie's saying no, Randall's saying no. Chase, are people paying attention to mailers right now? No, I don't think they are. So you also have to measure cutting the expense against the message of the moment, meaning right now, the most important thing is connection. People want to be connected more than ever before, because in adversity, you want to be connected to people who understand what you're going through, because all of us are going through it. This is the biggest gift the real estate business has ever been given. No, we wish the pandemic wasn't here, but given that it is here, it is the biggest gift we could have ever been given because we get to connect with people. People are happy to take our phone call. They're thrilled to be connecting with us. And so that takes no money. So give me another idea of something that maybe we should consider cutting in our business right now that would apply to anyone. What else? We have postcards and mailers. We've already talked about those. Kevin Gardy also said they might not want to even touch the mailer. That's absolutely true. So let me ask you a question. How about if you were renting space, an office for your solo agent, or maybe you have one team member, and you're renting space in a maybe you have a mega agent office, or maybe you have a space in a market center, or maybe you have a very large space for your entire team. So would that be something you might want to consider changing? So Stephanie says, Stephanie Gamble here in Wasilla says, yes, office space. Now listen, I'm just being honest here, you guys. And Bob Herbert says, I gave up my office space this week, $250 a month savings. Yeah, so you always have to think about the shift in 2008, we shifted for a very different reason than we're shifting today. So in thinking about that and thinking about how people are feeling and the connectivity and how we're working from home, do you think that everybody that's working from home right now is going to go back, and if they had an office, are going to go back to working from the office when this is over? Do you think everyone will? No. Yeah, some will, some won't. Exactly, Bob, not all of them. So I just want you to consider that might be something. So let's ask the question. How specifically does having office space give you a return on investment? Anybody? Can anybody defend it to me? Yep, accountability, 100%. So yes, Chase, I agree with that. Only if that accountability gives you your time back and gives you your focus such that you actually take that time and focus and actually do the activities. So I agree with you. Culture, yes, I agree with that too. I'm actually coming to you from Wasilla, Alaska this week. So I was in our Wasilla office, and Christy asked me to come in for the camaraderie, for the culture. But think about this. We're in a very different place up here in Alaska because a week ago we didn't even have the virus. So people's mindset around it is very different than maybe somebody in New York City, or the people that I talked to in New Jersey this week, or the people that I talked to in Florida. So you also have to be super sensitive to, I have never seen something divide people more than this virus. It divides them way more than politics, because people aren't being sensitive to other people's feelings. And some people feel very strongly about the virus and about staying in. And some people who maybe haven't been hit as hard, or they're in an industry that's different. So we just aren't being super sensitive. And so I think that the benefit also can be that you can collaborate and brainstorm together, and you can do that without being in an office, but sometimes just having that interaction. I know that when I'm sitting in the Scottsdale Market Center, interacting with Joe and David and the rest of the team there, it is different. So the energy is different. So Bob said lots of benefits to having an office, of course. So here's the question. For you right now, that is something you're going to choose to either yes, allocate revenue to, or not. And I just want, it's just something to consider. And then, do you absolutely have to have it? No, you don't. You don't absolutely have to have it, unless you can directly correlate it to a return on investment. And I think for big teams, sometimes that's absolutely the case. And the question is, can you bring the cost down to zero, or could you get it lower? So how could you, if you wanted to stay and have space in the market center, or have your own, your own office, how could you bring that cost to zero? How could you? Come on, you guys are smart. Could you There's actually free open spaces, yes. Yes, there's always open spaces in a market center. But if you didn't want to give up the office that you had, what could you do? Could you partner with one of your vendors and have them pay part of it? Share, yes. Your lender gives you free space. Awesome. Yeah, so I want you to think about, if you focus on this third question, how could you get it to zero? You will start thinking about created. That number 3 will help you think the most creative out of any of the questions. Because once you start thinking how to get something to zero, you start being very creative in your thinking. So yes, Jeff said, I'm not sure if we can go to zero, but we could make a change and cut costs. You can get people to partner with you. So there's lots of different ways that, for instance, we have a mega agent office in Wasilla, and we have rented out some of the space to a vendor that's in the same vertical as real estate. So, and then Chase said you can negotiate a deal for teaching regularly in the market center. Absolutely. So there's ways that you could actually do that. And in that particular case, it's part of number 3. Can I do this? You're giving up some of your time and exchanging it for space. So absolutely. So just be thinking about these things. Mega agent offices have an opportunity. Maybe you could have an insurance person in your office. So there's lots of ways that you can think about how you might cut costs. So let's think about a couple of other things that might be, let's talk KW royalty. Can we cut KW royalty? Nope, we can't. Okay, so move on. Maybe something will come out about it, but the point is that that's something that we're not going to be able to cut that expense, but it does cap. So just pour on the revenue and get to cap status faster. How about for some of the market centers? Some of the things we have done recently is we are negotiating our office leases. We are I see Archie on the phone, and in the market center in Scottsdale, we got rid of all the desk phones, and now everybody just uses their cell. That saved us $1,100 a month as a market center. So I want you to, here's the thing. You're going to look at an line item on your P&L, and you're going to say insurance. Yep, we've got to have insurance next. No. Stop. Time out here. Insurance. Are all insurance companies the same? Most of us think we get our insurance when we buy our house and we don't think about it again. Last year, a year ago, I had Cheryl on our team rebid all of our insurance. She saved me $2,000. That's a lot of money. A month ago, I had her do it again. Here we are a year later, I had her do it again. She saved another $2,000. No, it was $2,500. Last week, she went and rebid something else in our insurance. She saved another $500. So here's the thing. You've got to get apples to apples, meaning your deductibles have to be the same. So you have to, get your declaration pages and have them bid, because some of them had $1,000 deductible. Some of them had $500. My office building had $5,000. I mean, it was all different and all over the place. So what I did is I made a decision. Here's what my deductible is going to be. Here's what my coverage is going to be. And then I'm going to buy an umbrella that goes over the top of it. My umbrella for $5 million worth of personal coverage, that's an umbrella over everything that I insure, was only another $500. So that might be cheaper, because think of it. If you get in a car accident, there's certain levels of insurance that you have on your policy to protect you. But what if the accident, what if the health, the consequences of someone that was in the accident is more than your insurance would cover? That's where the umbrella comes into place. So it can be a good thing. And I'm just sharing with you guys, that's just one idea. But insurance is a big one that we just take for granted and we never look at it. I will tell you one thing, there is gold to be had in having your insurance rebid. When we did and we found a $2,000 difference, Cheryl went back to the insurance company that I had and said, we're going to switch insurance companies. They asked why, and we told them. They said, we were just about to call you. Really? And so they reduced their insurance to the same level of the insurance that we're going to have with the other company, because they didn't want to lose us. So I just want you, that's one place that gold can come out. Another one, call your cell phone provider. Find out if you're on the best plan possible. Most of them are going to an unlimited plan and they're not charging me anything additional. Now, I think it was Verizon that did that recently. So find out what your competitors are doing and then go to AT&T like we did and say, hey, here's what this other company's providing. If you can match it, great. If you can't, then we'll move providers. So you guys, you've got to get creative about thinking how to reduce it or bring it to zero, because all those things matter. I'll give you another one. And Matt Ship said our E&O insurance went up $5 a month at the beginning of the year, from 8 to 13. Well, Matt, I don't know. That E&O insurance is off the chart cheap. So we pay a lot more than that. Desiree says, partner with a team. I need Cheryl. Yeah, you guys, we can, I was thinking about it. I was thinking, could we come up with a cost saving tip every single week that everybody could, use and reduce their costs? I think we can. And that's the beauty. This is the 7th shift in my 35-year career that I've gone through. Some of them have been an economic shift like 2008 and 1986. Some of them have been personal adversity that brought shifts in my life. But what I can tell you is there's always gifts in the shift, and paying attention to this stuff matters. Examine all of the money that you're spending on lead generation and say to yourself, is that really a good idea to be spending money on when right now the most important thing I can do is connect with my database? Because connection right now matters more than anything. So, and then think about how could you get someone to partner with you on them. I'll give you another couple little things that we cut this week that probably won't apply to you, but it applied to us, but it might get you thinking. Every year we have our landscaping around our office building in Alaska. We have it cut back, freshened up, the beds all redone, and that usually costs like $2,500. And so we cut it and we hired my sister to do it because my sister is a lot cheaper. So there's just ways that you could actually reduce costs. One other thing is we looked at everything. Would you guys all agree that we need Zoom right now? Yeah, we all need Zoom. But did you know that you can do some things in Zoom, which our tech guy in Arizona helped us with, which made us immediately be able to save $200 a month. We were on a $249 plan that was bigger than what we needed. And it was because of the tech guy in Arizona that showed us how to do it with the lower cost plan that we were saving $200 a month. So don't just take anything for granted because you're saying, oh, I need Zoom, so Zoom's okay. No. Is it the right plan? How do you know that? Have you reviewed it? So all those things matter. And so several of you are saying, some of you are going through these cost cutting things with our coach, our awesome coach, Faye. So Bob said he was doing that with Faye. Faye said, have your bank cancel your credit cards and reissue a new one. This offers the opportunity to re-examine all reoccurring charges. This is the number one thing I did in 2008. Canceled all the credit cards. By canceling them, she's right. They have to call and any reoccurring charge and get your permission for that again. That was the smartest thing that we did. It just immediately makes you have to make the decision again, like, do I really want to pay $57 a quarter for Inman News? I don't think it gives me a direct return on investment. Do I absolutely have to have it? No. So, or could you find a way to bring it to zero? Well, yeah, you can find a way to bring it to zero. You want to know how to bring it to zero? You want to know how to bring Inman to zero? Come on, you guys.
Cancel.
Yeah, you cancel it, and right now they'll give you 3 free months. So in 3 months, you can sign up again under a different email address and get it for free again. Just saying. Okay, bad debt for market centers. Our market center does not have bad debt and does not have accounts receivable, but I've seen market centers that do. How could they get rid of it? How could you not have bad debt? Oh, that was awesome. Jeff says Inman News is free as a CRS. I'm a CRS. I didn't know that. Thanks, Jeff. Great idea. Submit an article to Inman, you get it for at no cost. Another great idea. See how you start thinking creatively, all these people. So this is called collaboration. You guys know things I don't know. I know things that you don't know. And all of a sudden we've already figured out many different ways to get Inman for free. Do you see how this works? So the, bad debt and accounts receivable. Well, the question is, do you have a system around your bad debt or your accounts receivable in your market center to make sure that that's always zero? So then I would collaborate around how do you do that? And I bring it up because I know there's some people on the call that are on finance committees, they're on the ALCs, and I'm just trying to give you some ideas. Bob says, how about the other side of the conversation, investing in yourself with training? I'm using this time to study for my broker's exam and get my HUD certification. That's great, Bob. Yeah, investing in training for sure. I saw that I can do 30 hours of continuing education for free right now. So you can sign up for your continuing ed for free. There's lots of ways to use this shift. Yeah, you can get bold pivot for 99 bucks. If any of you on the call, and I don't know if my husband's on the call or not, but bold pivot right now that's starting in May, it's $99. It's going to be delivered via Zoom. And it is going to be over a 4-week period of time. And I don't know the rest of the details, but yeah, bold in May, I think that would be awesome. So I will make sure that for all of you that are on the call, we get you that information about how to sign up for Bold Pivot. And Ashley, if you wouldn't mind, would you text Denny right now and get that information and put it in the chat box for us? Kristan, would you please share more about the CE for free? Yes. Cheryl, if you're on the call, if you could copy and paste into the chat box yesterday where I got the email. I got an email and it basically told me that how to do it. Cheryl, if you took yourself off of mute, go ahead and tell them.
Yeah, you just go to, can you hear me?
Yes.
You just go onto the website for your, at least in your case, for the board that you are affiliated with. You have to put in your, whatever your board is, and then your NERDS number and an RDS number, and then choose your, whichever one of the courses that you want. I think it's up to $109 and you get it for free.
That's awesome. So for any of you, you guys should have received an email from your board, and all you need to know is your NERDS number, NRDS. If you don't know it, you have to call your board to get it. And so you just fill it out and you put what board you're in and you get it for free. It needs to be your primary board. We tried to do this in Scottsdale. That's my secondary board. I couldn't get it for free, but I did it with my primary board and everything was fine. So again, there's certain items that you just don't have to be paying for. And all of us collectively know what those are. So that's fabulous. Can anybody else think of some additional expenses that you guys have cut recently because A, it wasn't a return on investment, B, you didn't absolutely have to have it, and C, you could. XM radio? Tell me more. Oh, you cut it. Okay. The gym because it was closed. Smart. But you got 3 months free. Hey, you know what, the gym, you can get on your phone right now and you can Google just about anything and get a free app of how to do, I'm going to do abs 20 minutes a day, or today I'm going to do, arms or whatever it is. You guys, the best thing you can do during a shift is stay in your routine. Stay in your routine. Super, super important. Because that's going to keep, because let me ask you this. If you go to work and do lead generation, then why wouldn't you do your lead generation at home? If you used to go to the gym to work out, figure out a workout at home. I figured out, I went to a trainer and I said, what are the 4 exercises that I need to do if I can't be in a gym, which traveling a lot, don't travel right now, but traveling a lot that you need to do. And he told me push-ups, because it's your whole core of your body, sit-ups, air squats, push-ups, sit-ups, air squats. I'm missing one. Oh, and then arms. Like get some cans of vegetable soup out of, and there's lots of ways to do it. It's how can I versus can I. So let's see what else you guys have in there. Audible Unlimited. Kindle Unlimited, you save $25 a month. Moved your real estate signs to your unused garage. Oh, and got rid of your storage unit. Perfect. Apple subscriptions. Yeah, so just go through it. You know, yesterday, some of the team members were talking about the fact that here in Alaska, they just turned their thermostats down 2 or 3 degrees because it's still chilly up here. It's still very chilly up here. So just be thinking about it's the little things. Remember the profits in the pennies. So it's the little things. Canceled Spotify Premium, switched to Apple Music. Disney has free for the first 6 months. So there's lots of things in here. So let's talk about anything else regarding cost savings. Remember, I want you to just think about those 3 questions. Those are the most important things.
Can I add something, Kristan?
Sure.
One thing I would say about taking advantage of the like free 30 days this or 7-day that, go in your calendar and set a reminder for the day before they charge you again so that you remember to cancel it and you actually don't get charged.
Absolutely. Absolutely, because it says free, but you have to give them a credit card, and then they're going to start charging you. So and making sure, like I also had to find out, well, how do you unsubscribe to something that you've charged, that you've done with your Apple Pay on your phone, or you've done with your Apple ID. Priscilla said negotiated her childcare and saved $250 a month. Yes, and last week, I know that my team leader in Scottsdale saved almost $1,400 a month by just making one different shift in their personal home budget. So these things, they only work if you do. So like Teagen said, you've got to make sure you put those reminders in. Because again, what we're trying to do here, is those 4 life-saving tips: stopping the bleeding, starting with the breathing, protecting the wound. So now that we've talked about stopping the bleeding, which is the cost part of it, now let's talk about, how do you start the breathing, which is revenue. We all want more revenue. So how do we start the breathing? So agent productivity, agent growth. This is tactics 4, 5, and 6. And really the question for this one is, what are you willing to do that nobody else is willing to do, and do more of it? How can you be the best in the world at doing it and capture more market? So right now, the way to be memorable, yesterday on our Friday call, our Friday KCN call, someone suggested that we dress up in what we would be wearing if we were on vacation, which made it fun. But John Maxwell taught me something. He says, make things memorable. So when I was in Israel with him at the beginning of March, we were standing on a tank, a 40-year-old tank in the Golan Heights, which is right on the border of Syria. It was so close, Aaron Wilson, that my phone actually flipped over and said, you don't have authorization to use your phone in this area, because it thought I was in Syria. So that's how close we were. We were standing on this tank because it represented the 6-day war back in like 1967 or something. Anyway, and he said, we all took pictures, and then John said, we're going to make this memorable. I thought, what? Wow, what are they going to do now? He said, we're going to do the hokey pokey. We literally did the hokey pokey on this tank. So yesterday on the KCN call, it was the same thing. It said, let's make it memorable. So we did the hokey pokey at the end of our call. And might say that's hokey. It is. But we'll never forget that call. We won't maybe remember everything that was on the call, but remember the call when we did the hokey pokey and we were dressed up like we were on vacation? You guys, bring some levity and some humor and some fun to what we're going through, because we're going through it whether we want to or not, kicking and screaming. So the same thing, as an agent, how do you become the best in the world at something and become memorable and capture market share? Because Gary Keller says this: the market share that you give up in this market, you will never recover. But the market share that you gain during this pandemic, you will never give it up. So I want to be the one taking market share. I know you guys do too. So how do we help our agents take market share? Where's the new market? You know, what's that look like? Somebody had a question here. Always add a smile to everyone in your encounter. And Faye, you're so right. People right now are looking for that human, not touch, not physical touch, but connectivity. And you know, the things that we're doing, Americans, I just love America. I love it when we're at our best. And I love it when we're acknowledging and recognizing people who are doing remarkable things and putting their own health at risk to do it. And so, yeah, give people a smile. Tell them it's going to be okay. Tell them that, you know, we're going to get through this together, because we always do. And you're right, Stephanie, people need that positive light. Absolutely, 100%. So with agent productivity, you know, what is the new message of the moment? Luis, you nailed it. I care calls, staying in communication. That is the message of the moment. It is. And because coming from contribution, Priscilla, yes, coming from contribution, big time. And being very authentic in coming from contribution and communicating. Because I'm sure you guys you can tell when somebody's being genuine and authentic and when they're not. And these are the easiest calls on the planet. The phone does not weigh 50 pounds anymore. It weighs 5 ounces. Aaron, you said empathy is more important now than ever. Yes. Compassion, empathy, understanding what people are going through. It's huge. It's huge. So let me ask you guys, because some people are like, I've heard brokerages that have told people don't take listings right now, don't work with buyers right now, which I think is nuts. Because not because of this reason. You guys, friends, are there buyers and sellers out there right now who need us? Yeah. There are.
100%.
And it's our obligation, not just opportunity, but our obligation. So let's look at that. Where is the market right now? Where is it? You know, where is the money exchanging hands? And you've got to put yourself in the middle of it. In a market, there's always going to be opportunity. Always, always, always. But you only find it when you're smack dab in the middle of it. Meaning you've got to be in it to win it. And being in it is where you will see the opportunity. So if you think about it, you know, Jeff says, find a way to make it happen safely and smartly. Yes. I mean, yes, of course. But right now, where would money be exchanging hands? Where is somebody doing what nobody else wants to do and being the best at it in the world? Let's think about that. Let's look at it. Everyone needs housing, do they not? Everyone needs a place to live. Everyone needs food. Everyone needs medical care. Those three things are necessities right now, right? Everybody needs food, medical care, and housing. Would you guys all agree? Okay, so if everyone needs that, then let me ask you, let's look at this. You know, when you look at this market, you know, not normal. The thing of it is, when you look at markets, there's never a flat market, right? Are markets ever just flat forever? Come on, you guys, I need interaction here. Okay, I see some head shaking. There's always activity up here, and there's activity down here. There's activity in both places. And well, if you could turn this like this, you would see it just going back and forth. And isn't that what the market does? It goes from this type of a market to that type of a market. It's just swinging back and forth all the time. And the question is, the activities and how you respond to this market is going to be very different than how you respond to that market. Meaning, right now, right here, down here at the bottom, which I would say, you know, is where we kind of are right now. Meaning, not everyone needs to sell or buy. Right now, where would you go find the sellers that really need to sell? Let me ask it differently. Who are the sellers that absolutely need us right now and need to sell?
folks that are really needing to sell because of relocation or something that's going on in their world that absolutely need to sell.
Right, they need to sell. So what's the number one reason that they would need to sell right now? Those who have lost their job is exactly right, Matt. Then you say those that might be in pre-foreclosure or relocation because of financial distress. Yes. If you've lost your job and you can't afford your house and you need to move in with your parents, do you need a realtor? Yeah. So right now, sellers who have lost their job and need to relocate and need to sell their home need us. Those are hurting people. They need us. And so it blows my mind when I hear that a brokerage is not taking listings. Can you take a listing without ever physically being with the seller? Of course you can. Technology allows us to do that. So yes. So let's think about this. Back in 2008, when the market hit the bottom, so that might have been in 2012-ish, maybe. Let me ask you guys this. Who were the buyers? Stephanie said she took a listing last week via Zoom. Priscilla took 4 last week in Clovis via Zoom. So who are the buyers? So Bob says people with cash. Yes. And also Jeff says investors. Kim says investors. Those who are downsizing, investors. Yes. So why do investors want to buy right now? Right now, there's some investors like they were in 2012 or 2008 want to take their money out of the stock market and put it into housing because they know there are people that have lost housing that are going to need to rent because everybody needs a place to live. So there is opportunity. These are hurting people that need us to help them. And we've got yes, Jeff, we've got low interest rates. We've got leverage and opportunity. It's a hedge against inflation and stability. Absolutely. So, and Louise says the buyers are waiting for the market to go down. Good deals, long-term outlook. Yes, all those things. So right now, there's never a shortage really of buyers and sellers. There just may be fewer of them, meaning there's always going to be people buying and selling because they're at those points in their life that they've lost their job. They need to sell. They need to relocate. Maybe they have an elderly parent that has gotten sick and they need to move. Who knows what it is? So the question is, how do we market that message without sounding sleazy? You come from care, Kim. You come from care. And it might sound something like this. Gosh, Archie, it's so good to talk to you today. And thank you for sharing with me the challenges that you're having. And I just want you to know we're here for you. I don't know when you'll need us, if it's next week or next month, but I just want you to know that if you hear anybody that is really hurting right now and needs our help, we're going to be there for them. Just please let me know we're going to be there for them. So that's, I think, how you do it, Kim. I don't know that they're, because everything is changing all the time, I don't know that you can do it necessarily without the care and empathy behind it. Meaning, I don't know that you can do that through a postcard. I don't know that you can do that any other way than just from talking to people. Now, I do think there's a way probably to attract investors or, but that message, I don't think is gonna, I think that's the type of message that might be, like you say, sound a little sleazy or, taking advantage of. But I think if you're coming from the seller side and coming from contribution, and that because we care and we've been in this market for 35 years, our network, we absolutely are here for you, whether you need our help right this second or it's next month or next year. And so I think how you frame it is going to be what matters, what truly matters. So everybody, I want you to take out a sheet of paper if you've got one near you. And I want you to kind of frame it this way and maybe think of it throughout the day. On the left-hand side of the paper, right now, who are the buyers? If you ask yourself this question, it'll help you find them. Where do they currently live? And how do you find them? Who are they? Where do they live? How do you find them? Same thing with sellers. Who are the sellers right now? Where do they currently live? How do you find them? What does that look like? And when you do that, I think that you're going to find your answer for your market right now, because we all know real estate's super hyper local. And so the answer in Tucson may be very different than the answer in Scottsdale, which may be very different than the answer in Beverly Hills versus Wasilla, Alaska. So who are they? Where do they currently live, and how do you find them? You know, like we said, the market really doesn't go up and down like we think. It goes sideways, left and right. And it's like, who are the buyers now? Who are the sellers now? And really coming from the perspective of how the market, the message of the moment right now is I care. And you cannot feel I care through a piece of paper or a postcard. You feel I care through people actually caring and talking to you, because you can't physically be near them. So talking with buyers and sellers, you're really looking for the people that are motivated, that need your help right now. So who is it that needs our help right now? And what could that look like? Louise says, for investors, look at a title report of recently sold fixer-upper investment transactions. Who was the buyer? Maybe Google them and call them and ask to look if they're looking to buy more properties. Absolutely. You can use, if you're in, you can use IVY data. They are phenomenal at finding investors, finding people that, like, who is it behind that corporate name and what's their contact information. So that could be another good one. Builders are looking for land right now. Yeah, in Anchorage, that's the slim pickings, Stephanie, but out here in the Valley, we have lots of land. So there's ways to do this. There's ways to find things. Luis, you're looking for an investor. That is a great idea. So looking, and you could go talk to your MCA, see what investors closed this month. You could talk to the title company and then get a list and find out who they were, because most investors don't buy just one house. That's not what investors do. So that's an amazing, really amazing one. And I think for sellers that need our help, I think the best way to find them right now is to just be talking to people and letting them know that you're here for them. So number 3, protect the wound. So in protecting the wound, that's really becomes an open dialogue right now around, how do we help our clients feel secure? Protecting them. How do we help them feel secure in a very unsecure world right now? And I think that protecting the wound and doing that around that, I think that is where we come into play, because we know this market. This is what we do. So in protecting the wound, ask yourself, if you're a market center, what do your agents need most right now? And what are you doing to provide that? So when you think about it from an agent perspective, what do our clients need right now? And what are we doing to provide that? I've seen wonderful stories out there of people going out and helping other people who maybe are confined to their home and need help picking up things. I know that Priscilla has done an amazing job with helping parents that have children at home all day, and with her Disney program that her and her daughter are doing on Zoom with her classmates. If you just look around and look for the opportunities, they're right out there in front of you. People are doing them. Copy what they do. Just go copy what they do. Let's see. Bob said he has land for sale on an airstrip. That's funny. Okay. But Priscilla, if you're on the call, maybe just tell them what you and your daughter are doing, because I think it is protecting the wound right now and helping people.
Yeah, so we're just getting engaged. It started really with my daughter just expressing how much she missed her classmates and how she wants to see them, and obviously we can't do that. So we looked on YouTube and what she was enjoying. She also misses being able to go to Disneyland. So one of her favorite things is the Disney Animation Academy. And when I looked on YouTube, surprisingly, there are like over 15 videos that Disney has published. And so we started doing them at home, but I was like, why don't we just use Zoom and see how many of your classmates show up? The first day we did it last week, there were 10 kids that showed up. And then by the second time we did it 3 days later, there were 30 kids.
That's
And
amazing.
the response was just so overwhelming. My phone was blowing up with text messages and emails from parents who were just expressing gratitude and how it's become the thing that their kids look forward to. One of them, their teacher showed up and the kids lost their minds because they miss her.
Oh, yeah.
So it was really cool. And the response we've had has just been very overwhelming. And so now we opened it up to the Clovis team. And it's actually on my page. If anyone wants to check it out and rip off and duplicate, you're welcome to do that.
And here's what I love is that Priscilla's super passionate about, you know, her daughter and helping other kids and keeping their community together. And so she found a way to do it. And let's be honest, as a parent, there's no faster way to my heart than helping my kids. So I think that's super, super smart. For me, I'm super passionate about helping small businesses that have not been through this before. So I'm doing a little different twist similar to Priscilla, but I'm just doing it with small businesses. So what are you super passionate about? Because your genuineness is going to come through. People can see through people just taking an opportunity and people who genuinely care. I think what Priscilla's doing with kids, man, that is such a rock solid idea. And we all know, right? Help my kids or pet my dog, right? Treat them. You know, you can do what you want with a cat, which is pet my dog. Okay, so let's wrap this up. The other thing is treat for shock. So treating for shock, everybody needs a place to live, but also remember there is no going back to normal. We do have a new normal and we need to lean into it and we need to choose to lean into it, that new normal. So here's what this looks like for me. What's the next steps for you? Number one, cut costs and hold them accountable for a return. And we talked about that. Ask the 3 questions. Build your reserves as much as possible. So that you can get your budget to match your reserves. I like having 6 months reserves. You know, I think most people say three months for a market center. I like having 6 months for a market center. You know, so building your reserves, but first you got to get your costs in line. And right now it may be that we're just going to, you know, we're going to work hard to get through this. But at some point, the next step would be to build your reserves to 6 months. So for instance, if your budget was $5,000 a month, then you'd like to get your reserves to $30,000 because that would be 6 months of reserves. So you can imagine with the market centers, when market centers have expenses of, you know, their approved expenses can be over $100,000 a month, having reserves of $600,000, that takes a while to get to that. So just think of it this way. Even, so I took over a failing market center, or not a failing market center, but I've taken over a couple. One of them was failing. One of them just was treading water, just coming out of 2008, 2009, 2010. So any money that the market center made for the first 2 years, I did not distribute any owner's distribution. I saved money. Then I only started distributing 25%, save money, then 50, then 75, and even in the best market, I still only distributed 90% of the profit, of the owner profits, saving 10% for the rainy day. Well, the rainy day is here, and I am so glad we did because we have 6+ months of reserves in the bank for both of our market centers. So it didn't happen overnight. It just be consistent about the little things, saving. Ask yourself, where's money exchanging hands and how can you put yourself in the middle of it? People that need to sell right now, people who have lost their jobs that need our help, and investors, 2 great places. And then how do you find them? Luis gave you a great idea on how to go find investors, and we already know how to find sellers that need help. We need to be talking to them. What do you need to do to survive and thrive? Well, as a market center, what do your agents need to do to survive and thrive, and how can you help protect their wounds? And ask, what do we need to do for our clients and our buyers to help them survive and thrive and help protect their wounds? And then ask yourself, what's your new normal? And what are you going to do from here to move into the activities that you need quickly? What will that look like? So any last minute tips from all of you? We've got a little bit over time, but I just want to give everybody a chance. Kevin asked, will this video be sent out? This has been recorded, and yet we can make it available to anybody who would like it. Absolutely, 100%. So other questions, other tips, anything else I can help you with before we sign off today? Did this help you guys today? Awesome. So anything that we can do to help, we're here to help you. Just remember, many people in our leadership group have been through a shift before. And we are, if you'd like us to help you, and it doesn't matter to me what office you're from, whether you're from Coldwell Banker or EXP, it doesn't matter. Just go to joinkcn.com and we will get back to you and help you in any way we can. So that's joinkcn.com, or you can just email me, Kristan@kristancole.com, and we will throw our resources to helping you to meet the need where you're at. So thanks everybody for being on the call today. I appreciate you guys being interactive. This was fun, and I hope it helped you and your family. Just go promise me that you're going to take this seriously, because speed right now is of the essence. You've got to make those cuts now, and you've got to make the decision of building revenue and getting into that activity now too. So go have a great weekend. Thanks for being with me on a Saturday.
Thank you.
Thanks.